All the drama as usual at Mount Panorama here at the High-Tech Oils Bathurst 6 Hour. Welcome back to the mountain. Easter Saturday. The place is looking a treat. And what will be a treat is qualifying for the Trico Trans Am Series. It's round 2 of the championship. And we have 2 short 15-minute qualifying sessions coming your way. And among them on this one, the great Jordan Cox, who is worthy of the ticket price alone. There's some great names in this that we'll tell you about. Speaking of great names,
You're going to start early.
What a welcome it is to the voice of Trans Am racing in Australia. Matt Naulty has never been to Bathurst before, doesn't know much about the place, but it's good to have you here.
Well, I know more today than I did yesterday, Richard Craill. It's great to be back here at Mount Panorama on qualifying day, the High-Tech Oils Bathurst 6 Hour. And 41 cars. You talked earlier today, it took 3.5 minutes to get 71 production cars out of pit lane. These guys weren't too far behind when they left the dummy grid just a few moments ago. It's a mixture of the Trico Trans Am Series. It's round 2, as you correctly point out, and the TA2 Muscle Car Series second round. There's 16 drivers from the TA2 Muscle Car Series that will get points where they finish over the next 2 days of races here. But a big field. And hopefully with these split sessions, we won't have the carnage that we had yesterday during their one and only practice session here that saw a few drivers licking their wounds and others not getting a fast lap.
Yeah, and how about the names at the top of the pops though? James Moffat in the LMCT Plus car for Gary Rogers Motorsport. 2:11.8 was a 10th quicker than James Golding, his supercars rival. Nash Morris, who's in great form and coming off a really good weekend down at AWC Race Tasmania at Simmons Plain. Tom Davies next. Nathan Hearn, always a contender, always in the mix, was next. Benny Grice, another driver in good touch at the moment. The championship leader, round 1 winner Todd Hazelwood with number 1 on the door of the TFH Racing Ford Mustang was 7th. Elliot Barber first of the Camaros. Looking forward to seeing what Jared Hughes can do this weekend. He's 9th. And Ben Bargs in the Hankshire Racing Mustang. First year in the category and he's made an impact straight away. And we're biased because he's on our broadcast team as well. He rounded out the top 10 in a very, very competitive practice. But yeah, 1 session and 1 session only. So not a lot of time to get the eye in and to get the cars sorted. So there's going to be some cars that might not be quite in the window, some drivers that might not be quite in the window, and it puts more emphasis on these 15-minute qualifying sessions. We're already 3 minutes in, Nolts, and no one has started a flying lap.
Not yet. It's going to be headed by the Schaeffler Ford Mustang as he makes his way past the Ridges Hotel on the right-hand side. You're wondering, why is Jordan Cox in the bottom 50%? Well, he spent most of the session yesterday with electrical dramas aboard this Ford Mustang, so hopefully they've rectified that overnight. Jason Pride will also feature in this one in the JPM car. They had the wrong gear settings in yesterday. The car was maxed out on Conrod Straight well before the first hump, so they've changed that overnight, and hopefully the West Aussie will have a better day out here in the Harman Transportables car. But this is the big step up, isn't it, for Jordan Cox? The Human Highlights Reels, we've called him for many years here at the mountain. Both he and Ben Bargwanna have stepped out of TCR and full-time with the Trico Trans Am Series in 2025. So if you're wondering why there's only half the field, we split this over their practice times from yesterday. And for some drivers, didn't get a lap in there. Mark Crutcher was one of them, but only got the 1 lap in the session. Young female star Kiara Zabatakis, who runs the TA2 muscle cars, only got 2 laps in the end. In fact, she was on her flying lap when the second red flag came out for Ben Gomersall, who glanced the wall firstly at the grate and then secondly down at the Forest Elbow section. So the unit racing car got away with one yesterday, which you rarely do here at this place.
Correct. Young Ayrton Hodson, the Kiwi. Great to have him in the field. He's racing Super 2 this year. I spoke to his dad, Paul, last night, and he said, oh, look, any lap you can get at this place in a heavy V8 car that moves around a bit is a massive tick in the box. But he said, we're enjoying this Trans Am stuff so much, we might look at some other rounds as well, and I think they're keen to do a little bit more. Trans Am racing, once you experience it, it grabs you, it hooks you in. It's like an evening with Matt Naulty. You just can't leave. The storytelling is immense. Looking forward to seeing what Coxie can do. The relevant in this session, so they ran at the Bathurst International late last year. It was the penultimate round of the championship at the end of 2024. James Golding whacked the thing on pole by 0.02 of a second over Todd Hazelwood. The time was a 2:10 2:11.6. So that's about a benchmark we're looking for with limited laps yesterday. It was a 2:11.8 for James Moffat. So there's always gain in qualifying, and I'm sure they'll find that. But I think you're going to have to do something in the 10s today to get on pole in this very, very competitive and very deep field.
Yeah, 2:10.31 is the qualifying lap record back in 2022 by Tim Brook, who's here this weekend overseeing the Waltech Motorsport operation down in the pits. Drove for them on occasions over the last couple of years. But you're right, with these air conditions, which continue to get warmer out there, man, it was cool overnight. 4 degrees early this morning, but 27 degrees to come up later today. Will we see maybe a 2:09 in this session?
That'd be sort of Trans Am lap of the gods territory, wouldn't it? This category's got a short but great history at this location. Cast your mind back a couple of years when Aaron Seaton and Nathan Hearn went at it and spent most of the tops of Mount Panorama side by side, boxing on for the lead. Nathan Hearn then won the championship here at the end of that year, drove the thing after doing the burnout straight to the National Motor Racing Museum, and he only got that car out of there late last year, put the Mustang body on, and away they went. But they produced sensational racing, old school sort of touring car racing this. Big bag tyre, the car slide around, 560 horsepower, big heavy things to drive, but great drivers at the front. First representative lap time is Jordan Cox at a 2:13.7, but plenty time to come. You'd think from the Sydney sider, who has made his name as often as anyone in front-wheel drive and improved production cars, but loves a big V8 too, and will come to terms with these cars very quickly.
Cam Sendall looking at the wall, watching the cars go by when the tech guys involved with TA2 muscle cars. A very busy man with the extra cars that we have involved this year as we jump back in car with Jordan Cox on the way down the mountain towards Forest Elbow. He's really working the steering wheel of the Schaeffler Mustangs. He comes out of the elbow and can breathe for a few seconds, heading down here at speeds of well over 275 kilometres an hour in one of these Trans Am cars. So he's on a back-to-back flying lap, and everyone in this group will be wanting to do that. They don't want to put themselves in a position if a red flag comes out, because the percentages are quite high that we could get one in this session. So you want to have a couple of good back-to-back laps. There's one of our local heroes getting suited up down there in pit lane. Good morning, Mr. Denyer.
I was very rude and interrupted Mr. Denier's coffee run and lunch run at the cafe earlier in the weekend.
Oh, dear.
A lovely conversation, and I dudded him out of about 15 bacon sandwiches for his team. So my humble apologies, Mr. Denier, and to his team. An 11.5 for Cox. So that's a representative lap time now. That is serious. He qualified 5th at Simmons Plains in the opening round of the championship. Strong start for Coxie. Hodson has done a 14.0, quickest in the final sector, so he's building up. Here's young Charlie Nash. Interesting that Charlie Nash and Nash Morris are gridded next to each other, so it's literally Nash Morris.
In the same team.
In the same team. I love it.
Don't want to trip over that one.
It just makes it easy and cheap for signage.
Correct. He's in the old Chris Pappas car that Papo run the last couple of years, the number 8 machine, and run out the Norwell Motorplex factory team with Paul Morris. The dude is here this weekend watching on, and Nash was quick yesterday during practice in this Trico Trans Am Series. Robbie Farr going through the shot in the high-tech oils Chevy Camaro, the sole high-tech oils Chevy Camaro in the field. His first look in anger in a race car yesterday, and I can tell you he has not stopped smiling since getting out of there, and all he wants to do is get to the end. I want to be faster by the end of the weekend, but I don't want to bring this car back with any creases. He's not intimidated. He just wants to have a clean, solid weekend.
I love the fact that Robbie Farr's gone circuit racing at this point in his career. He has ticked every single box there is to tick in the world of sprint car racing, and I love that he's gone, now, do you know what? I've raced at the Nationals, I've raced at all the Classic, all the big events. He's won them all. No, I'm not satisfied. I want to go to Mount Panorama and race a Trans Am car. I love that. It's a great story.
And he's trying to kind of feel his other mates to get into one of these cars in the next couple of years. We've got Domain Ramsey also in the field. We don't have Danny Reedy here this weekend, and the Desert Palms Resort team not contesting this round of the series, but we'll see the rock star, originally from Alice Springs, now living in Brisbane, back in the series later this year. And isn't it a busy year coming up for both series? From this series heads to Hidden Valley to race up there. Not too many drivers have run a TA2 car or a Trans Am car, and the rumour, the whisper getting around is there's going to be little to no track time available before the Supercars round up there. So it could be a very different story when we head up there in the top end in June.
So no sneaky top-end testing slash trip to monsoon.
Jordan Cox.
Oh, no. And he is absolutely buried in the gravel trap. That's down at the final corner at Murray's.
And he was just about to go quicker again. That's the final turn. And what do we say about back-to-back flying laps? He needed that, but that Schaeffler Mustang is bunkered down here at the final turn. Here it is on the replay. And heading back to Bathurst a little earlier.
Oh, no.
Oh, he's just going to get the wheels in.
Oh, I tell you what, he might be okay. If he can grab reverse, the rear Hoosiers haven't dipped into that gravel trap. This on board.
He got the grass to the right-hand side, didn't he?
And there might have been a bit of rear locking there as well, going in that down change.
If he gets out of this, is the luck. We'll see if he's come out of it here. The front wheels are in, the rear wheels are right on the edge. But I think the body's actually on top of the gravel trap. And he's trying, because he doesn't want a yellow flag with 4 minutes to go. That would be pretty much the session.
He's got a hefty margin over Hodson and Nash, but an 11.5 isn't going to get you pole for this round of Trico Trans Am. And he needed that second lap desperately. It was on for a big improvement too. He was on for somewhere in the low 11s, possibly a high 10 based on the sector time. I thought he might have been able to drag that car out of there if he could get it into reverse. The Jack's Quick Pick Tyres car's got a lot of smoke pouring out the back of it. Bailey across the top of the mountain.
Oh, Jason Pride back at the Motorplex with that arrival. Is he going to keep it out of the gravel trap? No. So that might guarantee us a red flag. The Harman Transportables, number 14, prepared by Waltec this year, is parked down in front of the ridges. They've given enough time, and now they fire the red flag with just over 3 minutes remaining. Jordan Cox stuck down at the final turn, and now Jason Pride facing backwards at a really, really fast point of the track in the chase. And Jordan Cox, you're right on for a 2:10 perhaps, but for everyone around, there's some drivers that haven't got a fast lap down there at the moment, and that will be just about the session, Craill.
So Cox's sector times were going to be somewhere around a 2:11.0, possibly quicker depending on how he got that final sector. And yeah, it just hasn't either been able to select reverse or that car has bottomed out. It's a very, very deep gravel trap there. And he did the right thing by aiming right and going down the escape road towards Panorama Drive and the Peter Brock statue outside the National Motor Racing Museum. But unfortunately, it's the way the car spun and lodged itself in the gravel trap. Had nowhere to go. There's Gricey, chilled out and watching on. Is the dog here? I don't know if it made the appearance.
Yeah, no Barry this weekend.
No Barry.
So spending Easter on his own. I was just about to say, as they went to that shot, he was taking the Grice way.
Yes.
To get out of the track, and sadly, he's parked it up on top of the gravel. Reigning champ Todd Hazelwood getting prepared down here for the second part of this session, and got off to a ripper start down there, didn't he, in Tasmania? A brand new Ford Mustang for the TFH team. And we talk about some of the teams in the 6-hour production. Look about TFH. Spring right across. There are so many TFH shirts down in the Trans Am pits this weekend alone. They'll be out in the next group of cars. So the red has come out. The time continues to count down, but it'll be Jordan Cox that tops the first session here with that 2:11.5, nearly 2 seconds clear of Ayrton Hodson, the young Kiwi star driving for Ash Jarvis Racing this weekend. Charlie Nash, Hayden Jackson aboard the 81, the sole Dodge Challenger. A lot of people lobbying for another one to rock out in the field. It's Alice, Todd's longtime partner down in pit lane. Mark Bailey, we looked at the smoke out the back of his car. Hopefully it's nothing too sinister with the 12 machine. Des Collier, Graham Cheney, Josh Webster, John Hollinger, and Mark Kreitzer. Let's have a look at how this first session went down.
Well, Mr. Excitement, Jordan Cox set the pace early in the Schaeffler Mustang on his debut this year in Trico Trans Am Racing. He set the benchmark early too, but then unfortunately digging a little bit too deep, quite literally as it was. Ayrton Hodson second. Gee, he would have loved that next lap around as well because he was on to improve and went within a couple of tenths of Coxie in that first sector. Charlie Nash was an improver. He ended up third at the end of that. John Hollinger was ninth. 20 of the 21 cars in the bottom 50% of the field banked a lap time. We only missed Craig Scatella at the end of that session. He ultimately did not complete a lap. And then this was the moment for Cox going down under brakes into Murray's. Got it wrong, dropped the wheel off on the grass, and that fired the car around. And unfortunately, just a little bit too deep into that gravel trap. Wasn't able to drag the car out. He tried for all his might, but the Sydney sider from Down Shire Way, south of the city. We'll have to look from the outside in and hope that that time stands up and gets him somewhere in the top half a dozen of the field where he thinks he can be. And then Jason Pride at the end with a big spin into the gravel trap. And ultimately that was enough to bring out the red flag and call part one of qualifying for Trico Trans Am. Jordan Cox the benchmark to 11.5. Doubt that's going to be quick enough for pole position. Is it good enough to get him in the mix for race one a little bit later on this afternoon?
We understand the Kiara Zabatakis car might have had contact with the wall early in the session, a bit of damage on the right-hand side of the car. She was back in 19th position with Pride still stuck in the gravel trap. So to 10th position, Aaron Prosser was behind there with Robbie Farr, Domain Ramsey, Michael Coulter, Dylan Thomas, Brett Nile, Paul Hadley back in 17th, Jason Pride, Zabatakis, Wadley and Craig Scatella still chasing dramas with the 777 Chevy Camaro. Well, we talked about these cars. One of our great on-air talents this weekend is going to take us for a lap around how these cars work.
Hello everyone, Ben Bargwana here, driver of the number 97 Hangcha Ford Mustang in the Trico Trans Am Series. I'm here to give you a bit of a look about what these cars are all about. First thing you'll notice, left-hand drive. These cars come out of America, that's how they drive on the road. We've also got a 4-speed H-pattern gearbox, which is a Hollinger gearbox built here in Australia. The next thing you'll notice, Ford Mustang badge. There's 3 different bodies of these cars. There's a Ford Mustang, a Chevrolet Camaro and a Dodge Challenger. But underneath, they are all the exact same. The engine here is an LS3 525 horsepower crate engine. It's got lots of mumbo, lots of go. Top speed of about 280 kilometers an hour. And then the car sits on these Hoosier slick cross-ply tyres. The way they're built, they're a bag tyre. They move around a lot. They're very exciting to drive on. We get 6 of these from qualifying onwards and we can use them how we want. And the best thing about Trico Trans Am is there's 41 cars here at Mount Panorama. Young guys like myself get a go, and there's experienced guys in the field as well. The action is awesome. We're here at Mount Panorama. Watch it all. It's going to be awesome.
Part 2 of qualifying. Beautiful scenes here. Just on 18 degrees now already. It's come up 8 degrees in the last hour. So once that sun gets going, it is sensational here. Track temperature will build as well, and heading for a top of 27 here in the central west of New South Wales later today.
Mark Crutcher having a chat to Domain Ramsey, the larger-than-life character, and to the background there is Matt McKeldin, who's taken over the category manager rights with the TA2 muscle cars. Presented by Maritimo. Craig Denyer also on the right-hand side. Great to see CD here, as ever. The man was the brainchild of the V8 Utes back in the day and got this series off the ground with Paul Robinson and the like back in 2017. So session will start in less than 60 seconds. The top 50% of the field will come out and set the pole. With that $1,000, there's also 2 precious series points up for grabs in the Trico Trans Am Series, and boy, did we need that in 2024.
And Todd Hazelwood, what an amazing job he did down at Symmons Plains in a 53.7 second lap. He got pole by almost 4/10 of a second. It was a huge percentage. The next 7 cars were covered by the same margin. Remarkably competitive, this field, but Todd smashed them down there and went on to dominate the weekend. So the pressure's on the TFH driver to back it up, but when it comes to runs on the board, won the championship, got number 1 on the car, leads the championship, swept the first round. Oh, by the way, he won Bathurst last year.
Yeah.
So when it comes to this place, he's pretty sharp as well.
Little side note.
Yes.
We've got to add in that one.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, great race winner as the clock starts ticking and the field heads up Mountain Straight. So 15 minutes, 2:11.54 is the representative lap time we're looking for. And that was set by Jordan Cox in the Schaeffler, I said Peugeot, Mustang. It is. Switching over
did
from
you really
TCR.
say that?
I almost did.
I missed it.
Almost went there. I didn't.
Okay.
Almost went there.
Don't worry, I've been scared of saying it too. It gets ingrained in you after a while. The good people from Schaeffler have come along to help him out for his Trans Am campaign. And here's Nathan Hearn. They dramas with this car yesterday. It was maxing out at 260 kilometres an hour well before the chase. He feels they've rectified this. And the son of Stewie Hearn, who's always in the paddock, will be looking for a big result here today aboard the Blue Gold Industries number 29 Ford Mustang as he puts some heat through these Hoosier tyres. Can that time stick? Probably not from Jordan Cox, but you never know. Could we get another red flag during this? I certainly hope not. We want to put those red flags away. It was funny watching yesterday the second practice session for the production cars, the 6-hour race, where the high-tech oils bridge is. There's a flag point. And one of the flaggies had the blue flag out. I reckon for at least 10 minutes, thought about putting it away. No, I've got to keep this out.
Yeah.
What a sight it was to watch all those cars go out there in one hit yesterday. And tomorrow morning, just after 11:15, that is going to be a sight watching him go up Mountain Straight for the first time.
We need a chiropractor sponsor, I think, just for the wrist injuries that are going to come out of waving the blue flag so often in this weekend. Yeah, it's exciting stuff, isn't it? It's going to be awesome. We'll have some news forthcoming about what happened after practice 3, big incident, a couple of cars involved, and that may force a change to the grid. Fortunately, it seems everyone okay from that. We checked at the Mount Panorama Medical Centre, but our attention on Trans Am, and you need a couple of push laps to get the ultimate lap time out. Jordan Cox got 1 and 95% of a second one, and there is the Schaeffler Mustang that has been recovered to pit lane. We'll have to deposit some of the Bathurst Regional Council's gravel back to them after the session, but yeah, I don't know if that 11.5 will work. He was on for a low, very low 2.11, possibly an 11.2 or an 11.1 or even a 10.9 based on the sector times that he'd punched out.
So watching Todd Hazelwood on this outlap, he's picked off about 5 or 6 cars, and he's just tiptoeing here, hoping that, I think that's Grice, it is, on the left-hand side sees him, so we don't have any contact mid-Conrod Straight. So he's trying to get himself to at least the pointy end of the field here to give himself some clear air aboard this brand new Mustang. His winning car from last year is in the hands of Jack Smith this year, SDT Logistics, and great to see Jacko back behind the wheel of a race car this year as he gears up for another endurance campaign with Jackson Evans later this year in the Supercars Championship. But here comes Hazelwood and co on their way down to start this second part of qualifying in the battle for pole position in the Trico Trans Am Series. The field of 41 cars ready to set the grid for race number 1 this afternoon.
And Todd Hazelwood will start his first flyer. Works so hard on the commercial program to allow him to go racing. I caught up with him earlier in the season after demolishing everyone down at Simmons Plains, and he said, I am in a great place in my career. The balance between racing the TFH Mustang, between racing now for Shell V-Power Racing and the supercars. He's driving for his heroes race team. He grew up a Ford fan. He grew up a Dick Johnson fan, and now he's driving. He's just bought a house with his partner Alice. He said life is great. He's in a really good balance now. Worked so hard to build his career and go up through the ranks through Super 2 into the main game. A couple of different teams. Sometimes a fraught process. Sometimes there were shining moments where he put the car in a shootout and do an amazing job when perhaps it shouldn't have been there. But it was a tough process. Now he went back to an endurance racer. He won Bathurst. It was a huge, huge accomplishment. And now he'll continue that partnership with Brodie Kostecki in a Shell Ford in October. But right now he's got a second Trans Am title to win. But he's in a good headspace and he's driving well. And he hanged the thing out sideways over the top at McPhillamy Park. That shows how much energy there is in these cars when they are on a push lap here at Mount Panorama.
That approach up the top, I was going to say right here, he almost rubbed the mirror against the wall on his way up through the cutting. And it looks like Josh Haynes perhaps up there facing the wrong direction in a really blind spot up there. It's a blind approach towards the Worth cutting here, as we'll check it out on the replay. So the reigning TA2 chap, was it up there? Yes, and kept it off the wall at least, which is hard to do. And it's going to pull the red flag with that car parked right on the racing line there at the Worth cutting. So nobody has got laps.
Hazelwood was on a belter of a lap, but Moffat had beaten him across the top. His middle sector was quicker than anybody. And both of those laps get abandoned, and the clock does not stop. It continues to tick. And all of a sudden, the pressure is on. And all of a sudden, Jordan Cox just goes, maybe my 11.5 is looking a little bit handier despite depositing it down in the gravel trap. So a little twist in Trico Trans Am qualifying. Such an awkward place to spin on the entry up to the Worth cutting. And it is a very, very difficult recovery if you cannot get the car turned around.
There might be some colourful language going in the helmets of some of these drivers right now. They're all pushing to get a banker lap in, but they're not going to get it. As they make their way back into pit lane here with the session stopped and the time counting down, less than 9 minutes remaining. I'd love to give you an update on where everyone is, but we can't right now. When the first sector times were hopping through, came to a grinding halt as back into pit lane. Hazelwood and Grice on the right-hand side. Further down was the main ramps. Just saw Elliot Barber going through the shot. You might not recognise the livery on the Shure number 100 Chevy Camaro.
That is a cool-looking thing,
car.
isn't it? Yeah. Yep, he was top Camaro yesterday as well. A little bit of chatter in the week leading up about the performance of the various marks, but really the weight in numbers are what are giving the Mustangs such a domination, and the fact the big teams are all running the Blue Oval product. I'd love to see a Camaro up towards the front. Another iteration of this Blue Oval versus bow tie battle that is prevalent in Australian motorsport at the moment. It will happen in the Bathurst 6 Hour later on this afternoon in qualifying, with Tony Quinn's brand new Camaro going up against a fleet of Mustangs in A2.
So it was Josh Haynes, the Herzog Steel, sponsor number 37, the 20-year-old from Canberra in the ACT. You see the youngsters and the families coming along there. Give yourself a wave. You're going around the world right now. And keep those hats on, please. There's going to be a lot of UV out there with those temperatures in the high 20s.
Happy Easter. I hope you're excited for the Easter Bunny. We'll be here tomorrow.
Can't wait.
The Easter Bunny, I have been told, is coming to Mount Panorama.
Nice and early.
Very, very exciting.
So here it is. Once again, see the Herzog Steel Mustang coming in hot.
Just very wide notes on the entry to that. I wonder if it was already, if not in, grazing the fence on the right-hand side there.
That camera angle gives you a better idea of how steep the climb is through the cutting. That probably there is a shot when you look up and walk the track. And you look up there and you see, oh, that's high. But then you point to your friend and go, no, it's up there we're going to get to yet. That really shows you the height of this amazing track. Look down in pit lane. The dude's down there as well. And so too is Aaron Noonan.
Yeah, Matt, I thought I'd just get our camera to zoom on in here while we've got this little red flag. There's a fellow with a black T-shirt here. This man's not a dentist. You may know him. He drives the Shell V-Power 38 car. This weekend, though, he's on the headset for Nash Morris. Brodie Kostecki back at the mountain, last year's Bathurst 1000 winner. He is the man who is talking to Nash as they roll the 67 car now. Back on out to pit lane to get this session back underway.
At one point, these two had the team together was Flash Bush Motorsports. Back in 2021 when Nash debuted in the Super Cheap Auto Mustang. Brodie lending his hand down to helping out the son of Paul Morris, 2014 Bathurst champion here. And Nash collected the trifecta when it comes to endurance races here.
Great character. It's always good to see Brodie in the paddock. Good for a chat. A little bit of red flag stop time has been added by Motorsport Australia Race Control in this. So there's still 9 minutes and 57 seconds to go. So they've bought themselves 5 minutes in this session. So it takes the pressure off just a little bit to go and execute that lap time. Car starting to fire up. We shouldn't be too far away from a resumption of play qualifying too for Trico Trans Am.
You've been doing this gig for a long time here. Driving in the other day, seeing the paddock as busy as it looks.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously every category's maxed out this weekend, but it's the campsites for me, mate, that really stand out how busy they are. It's gone right to the back row, which we have never seen here.
Yeah, record campsite sales for this event, 332 competitors total across all of the support categories. In fact, we've had to put one of the supports, the Pulsars and Formula RX-8s are in what in October is used as a campground. They've had to go so far back to do it, up behind that white row of marquees. You can see right at the very back of that shot. That's a campground most of the time. We've had to put the competitors up there because there's no room for them.
Amazing.
Anywhere else, yeah. There's so much appeal to be here. And this time of the year, the weather's often superb at Easter at this part of the world. There is the campground. A couple of mates camping there, actually, just enjoying it. And they've got the pig on the spit going, I've told. Which could be the location for dinner tonight.
That is.
Amble over there.
Grab the address.
Yeah. That is the scene. It is a spectacular place to come and visit any time of the year. We know it, we love it, but it's cool to see this event building in popularity and building in attention, and people choosing it as a place to come for their Easter holiday, or go camping by the sea, or you could come to a much better place at Mount Panorama.
Alan Heafy in the black shirt with Barry Rogers to the side here, left-hand side. That's a unique way of stopping the car, rolling back out into the lane for Domain Ramsey. In the CNH trucking number 71, he was part of the first group of qualifying just before, so that time has started. They've used up that extra allocated red flag time. That's now frozen, so it's guaranteed 9 minutes remaining, and we should be good to go in a few moments' time. But my goodness me, it's going to be a very busy Mount Panorama circuit when the cars head out there. There'll be some desperation because you want to be at the pointy end. Yeah, that's old news, but especially this weekend with 41 cars, you don't want to be any further than the third row back. They're still having trouble getting the Herzog steel car up onto the flatbed. It's a really tricky spot, isn't it? So much elevation change in that one turn alone.
Well, it's very nearly the steepest point of the circuit,
Yeah.
which is just around the corner on the run up to Reed Park. 1 in 6 gradient just around there, and that has been in the fence. So that's why there was no flick spin going on to get that car turned around. And it did look like it was very, very wide on the entry to the Worth cutting, and he's clearly found the wall on the outside there on the turn in. It is so narrow and so fast, and we say it every time we come here, unless you go and drive around or walk around the place, which you and I aren't likely to do anytime soon.
You said that with so much stress.
Correct. Recommend you drive when there's not a race meeting on at 60 kilometres an hour. It is a public road. It is so narrow, and it is completely blind at the kink before you get to the cutting. So they're very high-speed entry at 200 kilometres an hour, and it's not hard to get a wheel off wide there and you understeer off into that outside wall, which has caught plenty of cars over its history. The long time we've been racing at this place. 7.5 minutes to go now, so the clock's still ticking, and the
3 minutes.
stress levels will keep going.
3 minutes to get around
Yep.
if you're at the front of the field. So we might only get the one lap. For some, they really might struggle to get that one in. I'm trying to talk this down too much, but you've got to be realistic in these situations.
Well, this is shootout territory
Yeah.
now, almost getting there, or at very least it's going to be the last one to cross the line after the checkered flag.
Someone that might be slipping 100 to the track crew might be Jordan Cox right now to keep it like this. They've got the Herzog steel car. Now, you'd wonder whether they'll just tow this car up the hill into that little parking spot in the middle up there and let this session go. Here's a replay. This is from the forward angle, so it's just after it's happened. We did see a bit of concrete dust, and there was a bit of debris going over the fence there, in fact, on the right-hand side from the Herzog steel Ford Mustang at the Worth cutting. But look at that blind approach. You're coming up there from the left-hand side, and it's so narrow. The TV makes it look so wide, but it is so narrow up there.
A little shout out to the crew up at the cutting Mount Panorama, a little Airbnb. You can go and stay up, and they always build their own little scaffold in their driveway, which obviously gets closed off for the event, and they're always up there. They're pretty active on social media. It's an angle you don't often see because you can't get up there and spectate at the cutting, but they can because they live there, which is absolutely fair. Not far away from a restart. Benny Grice towards the front of the queue. Todd Hazelwood is there. There's Jack Smith. Very sharp-looking SCT Logistics livery on his car. And they've got a little bit of data, a little bit of information after that first sort of 3/4 of a push lap they got. And there's Sir Jason Bargwanna, who will be back in the combox later on with us. He's on the headset to Ben, who is going to have to deliver a flyer, a one push lap. It looks like 5 minutes and 45 seconds to go now.
Speaking of Ben, let's see, give us a bit of a tour around the parts truck.
Speaking of, as the cars roll out to start their form-up lap, Ben's been in tour guide mode this weekend. He showed us around his car, and now he takes us around the parts truck as well.
Hello everyone, Ben Bargwanna here, driver of the number 97 Hangchar forklift Ford Mustang in the Trico Trans Am Series. As you can see, there is 41 cars here at Bathurst, so many bits that are needed for these cars. But the good thing is about this category, we don't have to carry a lot of spares because we've got the parts truck here. Let's go have a look. Here in the parts truck, there is absolutely everything we need as a competitor. Ball joints, suspension, timing belts, there's brake rotors here, there's even some hats there, oils, and a few engines here as well. Everything you need as a competitor is right here, so you don't have to carry it on hand. The girls will help us out and we'll go racing.
He's very good, Benjamin. I like that. It's a model that works for a lot of different categories, Aussie racing cars. Porsche Motorsport in particular often rock up everywhere with the spare parts truck. So it's a cool model. It means you don't have to carry that spares inventory, which can be very expensive. Go and shop as you need it. It's like popping down to your local Woolies.
Brand new semi-trailer made its way down for the event. Out the TA2 muscle car stable. It's down into the dipper we go. So these guys are hustling. Elliot Barber, Jared Hughes, trying to get back to the line as quick as they can. They left with 5 minutes and 25 seconds. 3 minutes to get around, roughly. These guys are treating this like it is a qualifying lap just to get back to the line and maybe get 2 laps.
Well, I think they know that you need that second push lap, Nolts. That's where everyone's been delivering the peak lap time. So this outlap has a huge amount of importance to it. But what it also does, it's a bit of a compromised build-up. Usually they'd be a lot more careful about building the tyre temperature and pressure on their outlap. That's why you see them going so slowly, weaving left and right. But now for these cars, it's been attack, push hard, and then try and nail this first flyer. So 3 minutes and 30 seconds to go. So the sure car for Elliot Barber. He'll get 2 laps, no problems. But if you're right down the back, so Todd Hazelwood now is still halfway down Conrod Straight. He is going to do a good job to get 2 laps in this session. He might just squeeze it in.
About 10 or 15 seconds to spare at the end as everybody trying to find a spot and get to the line. So we know Barber and Hughes, they've got through. They're starting their first flying laps here. Here's Grice, Jackson Rice behind. Oh, these two are together again. They'll do this to me every time. Heading down towards the last turn. And young Blake Tracy in the background in car number 5 in the Auto Door Garage entry, car number 5. Here comes the reigning champ and the clean sweeper from round 1 at Simmons Plains. Who's going to get pole? Will it stay as it looks? Will we see some more drama? It's time to find out.
2 minutes and 45 in the session remaining as Todd Hazelwood got to the line. So 2:11 for pole. He'll get 2 laps just, but needs to make both of them count. There's a couple of cars a little bit further up the road. Elliot Barber's going to be the first real representative lap time. Jared Hughes as well, but let's follow the champ because we expect him to be the benchmark. And in their first sort of trial flyer they had at the start, he and James Moffat in the LMCT Plus car were the pace setters. Hazelwood was quickest in the first sector, Moffat quickest across the top.
Across the shelf he goes, working the TFH Mustang, inches away from the wall, up to Solomon Park, kisses the curb on the left-hand side, charges towards Metal Great. While the other guys are making their way down the bottom of the mountain, the reigning champ is hauling the mail here as he climbs to McPhillamy Park on what is a cutthroat qualifying session with just over 100 seconds remaining.
The thing I love about Trans Am is you might do a 2:10, but it looks like a 59 the way the cars move around and the energy in them. Nathan Hearn is on a very good lap a little bit further up the road. He's not far away from completing, and the first representative flyer in this session, 2:11.5 to beat. Remember, that was the time set by Jordan Cox in the first practice session. Hazelwood now past the Bathurst Goldfields, down to the first hump at Conrod Straight. Jared Hughes with a 10.5.95 for Nathan Hearn. Massive lap time from the former champion. Goes right to the very top. 2:09.5. Hazelwood struggling to get the car stopped and turned right on the rugged edge and braking for the chase.
He was confident of that yesterday, Nathan Hearn. He goes, now we've unlocked the issue, we should get a 9. And he's delivered as Morris goes into second with a 2:10.5. The reigning champ comes out the final turn. He'll get to the line with 40 seconds remaining. And he goes into P2, and it's another 9. It's a 2:09.59, and it's 500 slower than Nathan Hearn. Oh boy, this session is coming alive.
What a lap from Nathan Hearn, though. That's one of the great Trans Am laps already. Is there room for improvement, though? Can he go quicker? Josh Thomas goes to 9th. Jumps up. Jack Smith bumps him back to 10th position and goes to 9th. James Moffat to 3rd with a 10.1. Golding 9.7 goes to 3rd, but still 0.2 of a second away from Nathan Hearn, emphasising how good that lap was.
Evan to the line, a little bit of smoke from the back of his cam, number 8, and he was the last car to get through. He's the last car to get through. For everybody else, it's checkered flag time. But the other guys that were going fast in the first run, are they committed? Yes, they are. We're back in car with Todd Hazelwood, attacking Mount Panorama. Just needs to find 0.06 of a second to take pole. Or has he called it down?
He gave away about 0.3 in the first sector. So to the best set by Nathan Hearn there was no improvement. Elliot Barber's still on a lap though. He was one of those first cars to go around the second time. Hearn is still pressing. In fact, his medal sector was only a 10th away from his best of the session so far. Golding also going on with it. And personal best first sector for car 31. So there's still some energy in this. Elliot Barber looking to improve. Doesn't need to find a whole lot of time to get himself into that top 6 and onto third row of the grid. Ben Grice, another one that needs to improve massively. Ben's buried down in 12th position at the moment as Blake Tracy comes up right from the back of the field to 6th.
And somehow Jordan Cox's time is holding on to 9th position, which is great for the Schaeffler Mustang. But a blistering set of 209s in this back part of qualifying has got Nathan Hearn pretty much locked in with a lot of green boxes. It won't be James Golding, the second sector, not encouraging for a time to knock off Nathan Hearn.
Hazelwood's done. He's out. Middle sector was nowhere, and he peels off to pit lane. So it's a matter of who can improve the most from further down the field. This will be interesting for Ben Grice. Was 12th, only 11th for the All-American Mustang.
Garwood goes to 14th. Here comes Cameron Laws in car 9. And it won't be that lap. He's tripped the curb down at Skyline. So that will just about do it. Bargwanna, the only car to cross the line behind to maybe rattle the cage. And Golding. And Golding.
Oh, Golding!
Golding on that, just as I was looking up, it changed. And the 31 goes 209.1. Where did that come from?
That is an extraordinary lap because his middle sector wasn't particularly special. He gave away half a second to Nathan Hearn across the top of Mount Panorama. His final sector was extraordinary. A 209.16, and James Golding from the clouds, I think, has grabbed the Trico pole position.
That is mind-blowing. 209.16, a new qualifying lap record. We wrote him off. We thought it was done at the second sector, but he's found something massive, maybe 20 Ks an hour, maybe on Conrod Straight.
Another big improver at the end there. Nolt Smoff did a 10-0 on his final push lap and got himself to 4th. So second row of the grid,
Wow.
9/10 of a second. That is some kind of lap from James Golding.
Big pole margin, nearly 4/10 of a second at the end of that one. We don't see that too often in the Trico Trans Am Series, but Golding dug deep and nearly 4/10 clear of Hearn. Hazelwood, Moffat, Nash Morris, Fifth, Jared Hughes has got pole for the TA2 class. With Blake Tracy, Elliot Barber, Tom Davies and Jordan Cox, the quickest from Group 1, will start from the 5th row today.
How?
Yeah, exactly.
How? Oh, I want to see some in-car from that. We'll go and get the GoPro out because that final sector, the chase attack, must have been amazing. James Golding on pole. Charlie Nash, Hayden Jackson a little bit further back down the field. Got some work to do. But an amazing lap right at the end from James Golding, and has stolen the pole position for round 2 of Trico Trans Am.